growing anti-Semitism in the West. There's always been anti-Semitism in the world. And in the West, it always seemed to be that this is where Jewish believers would come, Jewish people would come to escape the Holocaust, to escape Nazism, to escape the pogroms in Russia, to escape these things. Now it's meeting them here. Now it's meeting them here in the horrifying scenes of protesters and attacking Jews and attacking Jewish students and professors, horrifying things in Europe. The video of in Athens. So I'm gonna start with you, Andy. You live in Israel. You're there.
Yes.
You come from the West. You come from the UK, and we're here in America. But the mob that is storming colleges, universities, hotels, it's disturbing. How do you take it, and how do you see, especially living in the Middle East?
You mean when you say about you mean talking about the anti-Semitism in Greece or something, or
Yeah, in the West, just in the West, period.
yeah,
Europe, we're talking Europe, we're talking America, especially the colleges and universities, talking the UK, your home country, yeah, your birth country. So
yes.
understanding it from the Middle Eastern perspective, you're there as a believer, as a Christian in the Middle East. You see this in the West. Previously, we never saw this before to this degree.
Not on this scale, no,
Yeah, yeah.
and
So
this
talk a
level
little
of
bit about that.
intensity.
Yeah, talk a little bit about that.
Okay, well, first of all, it's my wife that's Jewish more than
Yeah,
I'm a Gentile. It's
correct.
Beverly, my wife, that's Jewish, but she gets very upset by it all. Very upset. She bursts into tears when she sees his stuff because she never saw any of that when she was growing up. She only very mild, but
Yeah.
now it's with the intensity of things, and you know it's hard to know what to say really about where this because to some extent at least from I I see some of these things as a judgment in a sense. We know that the West is under judgment. I don't think there's any believers would really doubt that. Um, but it is intensely distressing to see anyway because
Yeah.
we you just see the same patterns of history repeating themselves. It looks like Britain is looking like the Weimar Republic, a
Oh
weak,
man.
compromised government that is allowing radicals and extremists to walk all over it. And of course, you've got the same problem in the US as well. Um, and people are losing confidence in the democratic system because nothing seems to be changing, and the leadership of each country is encouraging this stuff by at the worst, and at least not doing anything to stop it at the very best. Um, you know, it grieves me intensely living here in the Middle East. You actually feel safer here with the Hezbollah on the border
With
over there,
Hezbollah. Yeah.
and the Hamas in Gaza, and the on the other side, you actually feel safer here than you would in Europe, which is bizarre
It is bizarre, isn't
because
it? I mean, I got a question. Well, in the UK, in America here, do you think, and I watched this video of this lady, she was so honest, probably the most truthful, honest interview by anybody that I've seen in a long time. And she was talking about it's time to get out as Jews. We're a very small percentage of the population, both in the US, that's true. In the UK, that's also true. And she says, from a non-Christian perspective, she says, we need to go. We need to find some land in Israel. It's a time for Jews to get out of America as they have been marginalized, even with Jewish leaders in Congress, at least here in the States. Uh, Andy, do you echo that sentiment? I mean, and it's a pretty strong statement, but and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but what's your take on that lady's perspective?
on the whole, I think I have to agree with it. There is when you look at the quality of the political leadership in the UK and in the US. I mean, you've got Trump in the US. He might get in. You might get a reprieve. But in the UK, certainly, or mainland Europe, I don't think the political will is there to stop this. And so, in other words, I would just get out of there
Mm,
because things can happen so fast. The borders could close down so fast to stop people getting out.
mm.
It could be like 1938 all over
Yeah,
again or
yeah,
something like that.
36 and 38. Absolutely.
Uh, and once it's so easy now to with all the computerization and the surveillance they have now to shut down ability to travel very quickly. Um, There'll be no slipping out over the borders at night
Mm.
because the and getting out from the UK because it's an island, for example. It'd be very hard to get out from there and make up. I mean, I think this if Europe really does get Islamicized, it'll be far worse than the Nazis ever were.
Oh.
Far worse and more brutal. I think they'll be just murdering people on the streets.
Let me ask you this, David Lister. Do you think that there is that call? Some Jews have said this. Now, obviously, I'm not a Jew. You're not a Jew, and but we have a relationship with Jewish believers, and we love Jewish people, and we have a relationship with non-believing Jews. But as a whole, in the trajectory of America, I'm not saying today, May 10th, 2024, but the trajectory of it. Do you think it'll be a time where Jews actually leave America?
Well, I think some are already doing it, but
Yeah.
look, Lord is calling them back, and He's making the world uncomfortable for them. The
Yes.
Antichrist
Yeah.
time is coming. The world is under the God of confusion. I see it like on the social medias I'm in on that people that are calling themselves Christians have raised up a banner that they were to hate the Jews, they're the Christ killers, and
Hmm.
all this other things, and the replacement theology, and they're confused. And I'm asked a question, as I support them. I said, look, how could you call yourself a Christian when God gives you a new commandment to love one another? And then
Amen.
if they are your enemy, you're called to love your enemy. So there's no room to hate if you're a Christian. And so not only do they say that, but they say, well, the Jews do this, the Jews do this, and all that. I said, well, the Jews are just like any other nation. Okay, they have people that are religious, they have people that are not religious, people that do good things, people that do bad things, just like the rest of the world. But God has a purpose for them, and it's a time clock
Yeah.
for the world. And so I have to point out that, that yes, not all Jews are Jews, because who's a Jew is he who circumcises his heart. And we think in Romans 9, Romans 2, that, just because you call yourself a Jew doesn't make you one. And then also, we know this nation is something special that he's bringing them back to. But at the same time, we know they're secular in that effect. But God still has a purpose for them, and it's going to unfold in the coming years. But
Hmm.
I wrote two articles 10, 15 years ago, part one and a part two on the rise of anti-Semitism. I said it would be getting worse, and it is. It's the worst I've
Yeah.
ever seen.
We need
And
to
I
bring those out. When did you write them, David?
like 10 years plus, I think. You
Again, we need
know,
to get those, bring those out.
Yeah.
yeah, I'll have to get them back out and put them up. But yeah, it's only getting worse now, and I'll tell you why there's confusion within the church is because people have not been discipled.
Hmm.
People don't know what they believe.